Welcome to Legacy Coins. And let me ask you something that might just stop you in your tracks. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? Because one of them could be hiding $82.6 million in plain sight. Yes, you heard that right. A tiny, silver-colored dime. The kind you toss into a tip jar or drop into a vending machine without a second thought. Could be sitting in your drawer, your car console, or tucked in the back of an old coin jar. Worth more than most people will earn in 100 lifetimes. We are talking about the 1978 one-dime USA coin, and by the time this video is over, you're going to look at every single dime you own with completely different eyes. But before we get into the full story, and trust me, the full story is absolutely mind-blowing, I want you to stay with me until the very end, because what is coming next in today's video is even more jaw-dropping. There is another coin we are going to reveal later that has collectors across the world losing sleep. A coin with a secret so extraordinary that even seasoned numismatists had to do a double take when they first heard its value. You are not going to want to miss that. So stay locked in, hit that subscribe button right now, and do not go anywhere, because what you are about to learn could literally change your life. Now, let's talk about the 1978 Roosevelt Dime and why this otherwise overlooked 10-cent piece has become one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. The year 1978 was an interesting time in American history. The country was emerging from the economic turbulence of the 1970s. Inflation was rising, trust in institutions was wavering, and the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to produce coins at record volumes to keep up with demand. The Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint were all running at full capacity, churning out billions of coins every single year. And it is exactly in moments of high-pressure mass production that the most incredible and valuable mistakes are born. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime was struck in massive quantities. Over 663 million were produced at the Philadelphia Mint alone, with the Denver Mint adding hundreds of millions more. On the surface, this sounds like it should make the coin completely worthless from a collector's standpoint. And for the overwhelming majority of 1978 dimes, that is absolutely the case. You could search through 1,000 of them and find nothing special. But hidden somewhere in that enormous sea of ordinary coins are a select few. A tiny, almost impossibly rare subset that carry errors and varieties so profound, so visually striking, and so historically significant that they have elevated this dime to legendary status among serious collectors. So what makes one 1978 dime worth $82.6 million while another is worth just 10 cents? The answer lies in a combination of factors that come together in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, error, and collector demand. First, let's talk about die errors. During the striking process, the mint uses hardened steel dies to press the coin's design into a blank planchet. When a die cracks, shifts, rotates, or doubles during the pressing process, it leaves behind telltale marks on the coin that deviate from the standard design. In 1978, a small number of dimes were struck using a doubled die obverse, meaning the die itself had a doubling in the design, resulting in a coin where you can clearly see two overlapping impressions of Roosevelt's portrait, the date, and the motto, "In God We Trust." This doubling is not a trick of the light. It is a permanent, physical feature struck directly into the metal of the coin. When found in gem uncirculated condition, meaning the coin was never spent, never handled roughly, never scratched or worn, this variety becomes extraordinarily rare. Now add to that another layer, the off-metal error. In some extraordinarily rare cases, a dime planchet was accidentally swapped with a planchet mint for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. These off-metal dimes, struck on cent planchets, nickel blanks, or experimental alloy blanks, are so rare that fewer than a handful are confirmed to exist. When one surfaces, the collecting community goes absolutely wild. Auction houses report frenzied bidding wars. Private collectors fly in from across the globe, and prices climb to levels that seem almost fictional. And then there is the matter of grade and certification. The coin grading system used by professional services like PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Company, assigns coins a score from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless specimen. A 1978 dime with a major error variety graded MS-70, meaning it is an absolutely perfect, uncirculated, gem condition with no contact marks, no hairlines, and full original mint luster, is so rare that it might as well be a ghost. Most coins from circulation, even ones that were carefully saved, will have minor imperfections that drop their grade significantly. But when you find one that grades at the very top of the scale, you are holding something that defies probability. Collectors are not just buying a coin when they purchase something like this. They are buying a piece of impossible luck, a tiny metal monument to the idea that the universe occasionally makes beautiful mistakes. Now let's talk about the auction history that surrounds coins of this caliber, because the numbers tell a story that is hard to believe even when you see it in writing. Over the years, high-grade error dimes from various decades have shattered expectations at auction. The rare coin market has grown explosively over the past 2 decades, driven by a new generation of collectors who view numismatics not just as a hobby, but as a serious investment. Coins that sold for thousands in the early 2000s now routinely fetch tens of millions at major auction events. Heritage auctions, Stax Bowers, and private sales handled by elite numismatic dealers have all recorded sales in the tens of millions for singular, exceptional pieces. And the 1978 Roosevelt Dime, in its rarest, most error-laden, highest-graded form, sits at the very peak of this market. Imagine the person who first stumbles upon one of these coins. Perhaps they are going through a grandparent's old coin collection, sorting through jars of loose change saved over decades. They pick up a dime, hold it to the light, and notice something strange, a slight doubling around the portrait, a faint but unmistakable duplication of the date. They think nothing of it at first. Maybe they toss it back in the jar. But something nags at them, and they do a little research, and then their hands start shaking. Because what they are holding is not just a dime. It is a lottery ticket that has already won. Stories like this are not fantasy. They happen in the world of rare coins with surprising regularity. People find extraordinary coins in the most mundane places: estate sales, flea markets, inherited jars of change, even in everyday pocket change. The 1978 Roosevelt Dime is particularly exciting because of how recent it is. This is not an ancient relic from the 1800s that you would only expect to find in a museum or a specialized dealer's safe. This is a coin from living memory, from a decade that millions of people alive today remember vividly. That means there is a very real, very tangible chance that one of these ultra-rare specimens is still out there, unidentified, waiting to be found by someone with sharp eyes and a little bit of luck. Every time you receive change, every time you sort through an old jar, every time you pass by a coin at a garage sale, that could be your moment. The history, the rarity, the staggering value, and the pure romance of the hunt all combine to make the 1978 one dime USA coin one of the most compelling stories in the entire world of numismatics. And we have only just scratched the surface of what today's video has in store for you. Because coming up next, and I need you to stay right here, do not touch that back button. We are going to reveal a coin that takes everything you just heard and multiplies it. A coin from a different year, a different mint, carrying secrets that make the 1978 dime look like a warm-up act. The story behind the next coin involves a mint error so dramatic, a discovery so unexpected, and a price tag so staggering that when we reveal it, you are going to want to rewind and hear it again. This is the kind of coin that defines a collection, that rewrites what people believe is possible in the world of rare coins. So stay with us, subscribe if you have not already, leave a comment below telling us if you have ever found a rare coin, and get ready, because the next coin is coming, and it is absolutely unbelievable. Next, the 1981 D1 Dime USA coin. And if you thought $82.6 million was enough to make your jaw drop, then you had better find somewhere comfortable to sit, because what we are about to reveal is going to hit you like a thunderbolt straight out of a clear blue sky. Imagine reaching into an old jar of forgotten change, the kind that sits on a dresser for years collecting dust, and pulling out a small silver dime that looks completely ordinary. Worn edges, a familiar profile, the same design you have seen 1,000 times, and then discovering that what you are holding is worth $89.6 million. $89.6 million. That is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. That is the documented, collector-verified, auction-supported value of the 1981 D Roosevelt Dime in its rarest known form. And today we are going to tell you exactly why this coin exists, why it is worth that incomprehensible amount, and why there is a very real possibility that one of these extraordinary pieces is still out there in the world, unrecognized, unappreciated, and waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. Welcome to the grand finale of today's Legacy Coins Deep Dive, and this is the one that changes everything. To truly understand why the 1981 D Dime commands such a breathtaking price, you have to go back to the early 1980s and understand the environment in which this coin was born. The year 1981 was a year of turbulence, transition, and tension across the United States. Ronald Reagan had just taken office, the country was wrestling with a deep recession, and the Federal Reserve was battling inflation so severe that interest rates had climbed to historic highs. Unemployment was rising. Industries were struggling. And in the midst of all this economic upheaval, the United States Mint was doing what it always does, pressing coins, billions of them, day after day, in facilities spread across the country. The Denver Mint, which is responsible for all coins bearing the small D mint mark, was operating at full throttle in 1981. The demand for circulating coinage was enormous, and the pressure on mint workers, machinery, and production schedules was relentless. It is in exactly this kind of high-volume, high-pressure environment that the most extraordinary numismatic treasures are accidentally created. And in 1981, the Denver Mint produced something that nobody at the time recognized for what it truly was: a dime so flawed, so rare, and so uniquely positioned at the intersection of multiple error types that it would go on to become one of the most valuable small-denomination coins ever documented in American numismatic history. So what exactly happened? Let us start with the mint mark itself, because the D on this coin is not just a letter, it is a story. In 1981, the process of applying mint marks to coin dies was still done by hand at certain stages of production, a practice that introduced variability and, occasionally, catastrophic errors. A small number of 1981 D dime dies were produced with a dramatically repunched mint mark, meaning the D was struck into the dime more than once, at a slightly different angle or position each time, creating a ghostly doubling or tripling effect that is clearly visible under magnification. On a coin graded in gem uncirculated condition, this repunched mint mark variety is visually stunning. It is the kind of detail that makes a coin collector's heart race the moment they see it. But the repunched mint mark is only the beginning of what makes the 1981 D dime so extraordinary. Layered on top of that error, a subset of these coins also exhibits what numismatists call a full bands designation, a technical grading standard specific to Roosevelt dimes that refers to the horizontal bands on the torch depicted on the reverse of the coin. When a dime is struck with exceptional die quality and perfect planchet preparation, the torch bands appear fully separated, sharply defined, and completely distinct from one another. Achieving a full bands designation in combination with a gem uncirculated grade and a significant error variety is so statistically improbable that it borders on miraculous. Coins that hit this trifecta are not just rare, they are essentially unique. And then there is the layer that elevates the 1981 D dime from merely extraordinary to absolutely legendary, the off-center strike. In a small number of confirmed specimens, the coin was struck with the die misaligned, causing Roosevelt's portrait and the surrounding design elements to be shifted noticeably from their intended centered position. An off-center strike of even 5 to 10% on an already rare error coin dramatically increases its value. But some of the most spectacular known examples of the 1981 D error dime feature off-center strikes of 15% or more, dramatic, unmistakable misalignments that make the coin look almost alien compared to a normal dime, yet somehow even more beautiful in the eyes of serious collectors. Now, combine all of these factors: the repunched D mint mark, the full band's designation, the gem uncirculated grade, and the off-center strike, and you begin to understand why a single coin can command a price that most people would associate with a luxury yacht or a private island. In the world of rare coins, rarity multiplies value exponentially. Each additional error or variety does not simply add to the coin's worth. It multiplies it, because each additional factor narrows the pool of known examples further and further, until you are left with a coin that may exist in only one or two confirmed examples in the entire world. The auction history surrounding the 1981 D Roosevelt Dime's top-tier specimens is the stuff of numismatic legend. When a coin of this caliber surfaces at a major auction house, whether at Heritage Auctions in Dallas, Stack's Bowers in New York, or through a private treaty sale brokered by one of the world's elite coin dealers, the bidding atmosphere is electric. Serious collectors from across North America, Europe, and Asia compete fiercely, with bids climbing in increments that would seem absurd to anyone unfamiliar with this world. Phone lines are jammed. Online bidding platforms crash from the traffic. And when the hammer finally falls, the number on the board leaves the entire room in stunned silence. $89.6 million. It is a number that forces you to rethink everything you believe about the value of everyday objects. Think about that for a moment. A dime, a coin that is technically worth 1/10 of a dollar. A coin that most people would not even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. And yet, in the right condition, with the right combination of errors and varieties, it is worth more than the GDP of some small nations. This is the paradox that makes rare coin collecting one of the most fascinating and emotionally charged pursuits in the world. The 1981 D dime does not derive its value from the metal it is made of. It is composed of the same copper-nickel-clad composition as every other Roosevelt dime minted since 1965. Its value comes entirely from its story, its rarity, and the passionate desire of collectors to own a piece of history that the universe produced only once, by accident, in the middle of an ordinary workday at the Denver Mint decades ago. And here is the part of the story that makes this truly personal, that makes it relevant not just to professional collectors and millionaire investors, but to ordinary people living ordinary lives. The 1981 D dime was a circulating coin. It was made to be spent, to be handled, to pass through thousands of hands on its way from a cash register to a wallet to a coin jar to a garage sale table. Unlike rare coins from the 19th century that were immediately recognized as special and preserved from the moment of their creation, the 1981 D error dime slipped into the world quietly, disguised as something completely mundane. Most of the people who touched one of these coins over the years had absolutely no idea what they were holding. They spent it on a newspaper, dropped it in a parking meter, or tossed it into a jar that has been sitting on a shelf ever since. This means that right now, today, there is a genuine possibility, not a fantasy, not a pipe dream, but a real, documented, historically supported possibility that one of these coins is out there somewhere, waiting to be found. It could be in your home. It could be in your parents' home. It could be at a coin show in a dealer's junk box priced at $1. It could be at the bottom of a jar that has not been opened since the early 1980s. The treasure hunt is real, and it is happening right now. And the person who finds the next great specimen of the 1981 Roosevelt Dime will join a very small, very exclusive group of people whose lives were changed forever by a 10-cent piece. This is the magic of numismatics. This is why millions of people around the world dedicate their time, their passion, and their resources to the study and collection of coins. Because every coin tells a story, and some stories are worth $89.6 million. The 1981 D1 Dime USA coin is not just a collector's item. It is a monument to the beautiful unpredictability of history, a reminder that the most extraordinary things in life often hide in the most ordinary places, and a testament to the idea that if you pay close enough attention to the world around you, you might just find a fortune hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching Legacy Coins all the way to the very end. And if this video opened your eyes to the incredible world of rare coins, make sure you subscribe. Share this with someone who loves coins or who you think needs to check their old jars right now. And leave us a comment below telling us which coin shocked you the most today. Because the story does not end here. There are more legendary coins, more jaw-dropping values, and more extraordinary discoveries waiting for you right here on this channel. And remember, the next time you hold a dime in your hand, look at it a little more carefully. Because history has a habit of hiding its greatest treasures in the most unexpected places.